So people keep asking me if Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be quote-unquote woke. And honestly, I've never wanted to touch this topic with a 10-foot pole. But I've been asked it enough times now that I figured I owe you my actual thoughts on it. So here's the thing. That word means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I think we're actually worried about something way more specific than politics. And when I say we, I mean the people who ask me this question. What people are really asking me is, will this game feel preachy? Will it feel out of touch? Will it feel like Rockstar's trying to force feed me an ideology I don't quite agree with? That's the actual question. And honestly, that's a question worth answering. But before we get there, let me quickly explain why this word has become such a freaking lightning rod in the first place. You see, the term woke originally came from African American English dating back to the 1930s. It meant to stay aware of racial prejudice and discrimination. Stay woke was a legitimate warning. Keep your eyes open. Know what's going on around you, man. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, times were a little different then. And that word, phrase, whatever, has been in the United States since. But by the late 2000s, early 2010s, that phrase came back into more common use with the Stay Woke hashtag. And then from 2014 to 2015, BLM, or the Black Lives Matter movement, used it extensively. And the phrase exploded. It went mainstream, went viral. People across all political lines then started to use it. And what it meant was stay aware of injustice. But after 2019, something shifted. That word got weaponized. People on the right started using it as an insult against people on the left. You know, like you're a snowflake and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not a rich political commentator, so take this for what it's worth. I think the average person who leans right feels like quote-unquote woke describes people who don't really understand how good they have it compared to other countries and, you know, maybe feel like they're constantly being force-fed an extreme ideology that they oppose. Meanwhile, people on the left still use it to mean what it originally meant, you know, staying aware of injustice. So even the definition of woke has split based on your political affiliation. Of course, it's much more nuanced than that, but that's the gist. So here's what matters. If we use the left-leaning definition of woke, then Rockstar Games has always been woke. They've constantly mocked and ridiculed hypocrisy, injustice, and American culture. That's their entire thing. Like, that's their shtick. What's funny is, until recently, I think both left and right could laugh with the games as they poked fun at everyone. You know, no one was safe. And personally, I don't think anything should be off the table for humor. Humor is one of the few ways people actually change their minds on something that they might not originally agree with. You are way more receptive to an opposing view if that view doesn't come at you with contempt. That's why yelling at each other online never works, and why no Facebook war is ever going to be truly won. It takes true civil discussion, something I think we've genuinely lost for the most part. But that's another conversation entirely, and this is not a political channel. So let's get back on track here. Let me reframe this. When someone asks me if Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be woke, they're not usually a left-leaning person worried about the game being too conservative. They're someone who leans right, worried that Rockstar is going to betray what made their games great by becoming a preachy, sanctimonious mess. Let's call that what it actually is, a fear of an out-of-touch, preachy game. That is the real conversation. So, let me see. Let me look into my magic box here. Is there a game that fits this definition? Surely there is. Oh, there is. Let's talk about the most recent Saints Row. Let's compare Grand Theft Auto 6 to that. So, how do we know if a game is doing satire well versus doing it poorly? I think the newest Saints Row game is the perfect example of exactly what not to do. So if you weren't aware of this game, you had a crew of college kids basically committing crimes to pay off student loan debt.
How do we make a statement?
On paper, that's fine. I mean, if you did like a dead serious game and it made sense, like with how the characters did it, and you showed how extreme they got, it could have been done right.
My name is Carlos. My story is simple. I needed money. I had many debts. I took from others to pay them. Now I must pay a greater debt. You see,
I think you could have made something there, and we wouldn't have rooted for the characters because this is a ridiculous thing, but you know, people do crazy stuff. I think you could have made a game out of that, but the execution would have to be rock solid. And even then, I don't really think it's a good idea.
Yeah, point taken.
So All Saints Row games are inherently silly, but this one felt different. It felt wrong. And I figured out why. It lost the spirit of character representation. So what do I mean by character representation? The original Saints Row had cool gang members doing cool gang member things. The character archetypes made sense, doing all of the illegal activities they were doing. But a bunch of college kids whining about student loans while they're out doing heists, that doesn't feel authentic. You know, when your character is refusing to work for like a corrupt corporation on moral grounds while simultaneously committing murder for money, that's not principle, that's hypocrisy. And players, well, they feel that disconnect. They noticed when characters' motivations don't match their actions. And here's the thing. thing. The crew dresses like college students specifically because the narrative wanted them to be college students fighting systematic unfairness. It's message-first design, and it shows. The visual language fights against the story instead of supporting it. It does not feel immersive. It does not feel true to reality. It feels unrelatable. That's where Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to be building it differently. With Jason and Lucia, we're looking at characters born from circumstance, not ideology. Lucia grew up in Liberty City. She fought for her family. She ended up in prison through those actions, not through some manufactured struggle designed to make a political point. Jason grew up around grifters and drug dealers in the Florida Keys. These aren't characters designed to critique capitalism. They're characters trying to survive within a system that doesn't care about them. And that's fundamentally different. The Bonnie and Clyde parallel is important here too. That archetype works because it's about the relationship, the desperation, the loyalty, the romance mixed with danger. It's not some commentary on inequality. Players buy into that story because it's human, not because they're being asked to sympathize with a political message. Here's the crucial distinction that people miss. Rockstar has never stopped mocking society. They've just always done it through earned action rather than dialogue. In Grand Theft Auto 3, for example, did characters stand around debating the ethics of capitalism? No. Instead, you heard radio commercials from corporations talking about outsourcing and child labor. The satire was woven into the world. You witnessed hypocrisy and greed through what you saw, not through what NPCs told you to feel about it. That's the foundational difference between good satire and preachy satire. One lets you discover the message, the other explains the message to you. Now, look at Grand Theft Auto 6. It's set in Leonida, essentially Miami or Florida, and here's the beautiful part. Florida kind of writes the jokes itself. I see a lot of you in the comments from Florida, and you're excited to see the whole Florida man trope. So the Florida man phenomenon, wealth disparity, environmental destruction, political extremism, all of that is baked into the geography. Players will experience it. Show, don't tell. You could show someone twerking on a road during rush hour, which is an actual thing that happened in Florida. And that's infinitely funnier and more effective than a character stopping the action to say, isn't the society ridiculous? Because that kind of also comes off as whiny. So the setting does the heavy lifting. The world is the satire. Grand Theft Auto 6's characters wear clothing that reflects their actual circumstances and roles in the criminal underworld. The visual language matches the narrative logic. Visual design serves the story, not the other way around. That's the key difference. Saints Row asks you to accept unrealistic character decisions because they serve the message. Grand Theft Auto 6 appears designed so the message, if there is one, emerges naturally from who these people are and what they are doing. When a character steals money to survive, that hits different than a character stealing money to make a point about systematic unfairness. So the real preachy problem isn't about content, it's about narrative control. When developers prioritize the message over the character, they sacrifice player agency and immersion. Players can feel when they're being lectured, and no one likes that. They can sense when a game cares more about being relevant than being true to its own world. Rockstar built its legacy on the opposite approach. Make the world so sharp, so real, so absurdly hypocritical that players discover the satire themselves. You don't need to explain that corruption is bad. Just show a cop protecting another cop, doing something corrupt instead of the people. Like, remember the corrupt cops in San Andreas? Show that. Show the gap between promised opportunity and brutal reality. We're all mature here. We're adults. We don't need to be preached to. We can make our own decisions. And if a game wants to prove a point, all it has to do is put us in that world, make it feel realistic, relatable, and explore those topics by having us, the player, experience them ourselves. And here's what matters. That approach does not alienate audiences, both the left and the right. I mean, that's so reductive. There's all sorts of people in between, but you know what I'm saying here. Both political parties can laugh at it because they're laughing at the world, not being lectured about what to think. That's the foundation Grand Theft Auto 6 appears to be building on. And that's probably why concerns about it being preachy might be misreading what Rockstar is actually doing, letting Florida and the character circumstance do the heavy lifting instead of the dialogue. At the end of the day, in Grand Theft Auto games, we're all laughing at the absurdity of the world around us because it is quite absurd. And so yes, this is where a lot of these questions I think come from. Yes, in Grand Theft Auto 6, you're going to be playing as a chick. You're going to be playing as Lucia. There's a woman protagonist. Oh my God. Is that woke? No, that's necessary for the story Rockstar is trying to tell. The Bonnie and Clyde dynamic thing that they're kind of seeming to do, that would be impossible without it. It also gives players another lens to see the world through. And here's the thing, if the world just exists without force-feeding you politics, then it doesn't really matter if you're the most giga chad dude bro whatever in the world. There's still value in witnessing the world through her perspective, and you probably wouldn't even mind it. Will I probably play as Jason most of the time because I'm a dude? Yeah. Probably. If I can talk Willow into playing the game, she'll probably play as Lucia more. And that's completely okay. Both perspectives matter. Both are valid. And if the game's good, you'll probably want to experience both anyway. At the end of the day, I think most people want the same things. We just disagree on how to get there. We get entrenched in our viewpoints and fight over things that don't really matter, usually because we're afraid of feeling irrelevant or misunderstood, or sometimes we genuinely believe there's a real threat to our society. And I'm not here to tell you you're right or wrong about any of that. I'm just here to answer if this game's going to be woke or not. But look, we are all human beings. We all deserve the right to express ourselves, to love, to work hard, to provide for our families, to practice our beliefs as long as they don't hurt others. And most importantly, we all have the right to laugh at ourselves. We're all on this rock for a limited time. The story ends the same for every single one of us. So chill, homie. It's gonna be all right. So will the game be woke? No, it's Rockstar, dude. Come on. I just don't see Grand Theft Auto 6 being a big preachy mess. I just don't see it happening. Also, have you seen the jiggle physics? That's just what I think. And look, I'm just some dude on the internet, just like you. And your opinion matters just as much as mine. So please share that in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you think I skipped over something or some sort of critical insight? Is there something that you have to offer to the conversation? All right, let's do some quick shout outs. I'm only doing 5 now. One of you gave me the idea to do that, and thank you so much. That's a great idea. So 5 shout outs. We got Abe Vax, X Brayo, JJ the YouTuber 4176, D Slick 2562, and Edge Weirdo. Thank you guys so much for your support. I know this is a touchy subject, so please don't tear each other's throats out in the comment section. We are all excited together for Grand Theft Auto 6. It's going to be okay. You're not going to change each other's minds in the comments. You might get like I got him, is it really worth it? Come on. So anyways, I'm Dandy Andy, and I'm definitely out of my depth here, but I genuinely mean it when I say, take care of yourself out there. Things do feel divided these days, maybe more than I remember them ever being. So just have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whatever. Just stay safe out there. Much love to all of you. I mean that. Be careful out there, man. Peace.